What's going on, people? Welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV. Bit of delay there because obviously we had 10 minutes of added time. We're hoping that there might be a little Florian Lejeune moment, a couple of late goals, but to be honest, that was never, ever going to happen in this game because we never looked like scoring, to be honest, and it always looked like it was a matter of time before Everton did. I can see a lot of you are tuned in already, over 100 people. So make sure you drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And most importantly, get your comments in the chat so we're going to run through that game together. Very disappointing, obviously. 3-0 away to the Scouse Mackems is the last thing we want on a Thursday night. Don't want to go rant mode, don't want to lose the plot. But it's hard to maintain it when you've just been beaten 3-0 off a team that's just claimed out the relegation zone. And obviously, if we had won, we could have went within a point of fourth and a point of Man City. But I tell you what, these lads were dead on their feet at the end of that game. That's what's really forced the Trippier errors. You would have thought it was fatigue. Bloody hope so. That's the excuse anyways. And that looked like the case, you know. And it looked like we just fizzled out with that 20, 30 minutes to go and we were absolutely shattered. And that's what forced the errors and that's what gave Everton the win, you know. And 3-0 in the end is an ugly scoreline. It's quite embarrassing in the end, to be honest with you. And I see all the Everton fans on my Twitter timeline now trying to give us stick and all the images of dinosaur arms celebrating and going mad. And that's the worst part about it, isn't it? That's honestly the worst part about it. You know, watching that game tonight, I said at half time, I was thinking, yeah, I'd take a point here. Like, and away from home in the Premier League, that's genuinely the case to most games, even though it's against Everton, who were, 18th at the time? Now, that is with the 10-point deduction. They would be mid-table without that, but they're still not a great side, are they? But tonight, we made it look that way, and it was exactly what you fear from going to Goodison Park. You know, it was a ferocious atmosphere. There were in our faces. They made it physical. The referee was a bit stop-start. And it just wasn't pretty. And it was just one of those games where we just really struggled. And we looked a bit toothless at times for me, especially going forward. And listen, even though, I tell you what, it could have been any score at some point in that first half. And even the second half, both teams had chances. Everton had more chances. Shout out Eric there for the super chat. Dropping points against garbage with our end of December and start of January fixtures is a terrible thing. Well, it's a very Newcastle United thing, Eric, to beat Arsenal, to beat Chelsea, to beat Man United, and then to go and get thrashed 3-0 by Everton. It's a very Newcastle thing, but I don't want to get carried away and be ranty or be really negative here, but I'll always see the game as it is. You know that. But for me, we know these lads are absolutely knackered. These lads, listen, 4 games in a row now where most of them have played. All of them have pretty much played 90 minutes. Nearly every single one of those players has went to Paris, played 90 minutes, played in those Premier League games I've just mentioned there, 90 minutes, and then they go to Goodison Park on a Thursday night and play 90 minutes. And it's obviously caught up with us. Do you know what I mean? Look at that bench tonight. It's full of youngsters again. Cheaper by the dozen on the bench. Do you know what I mean? They're all fucking 13 years old, haven't got pubes yet, and on the bench in the Premier League for Newcastle. Not ideal. But I'll tell you what I wanted to see was Lewis Hall. What's the crack with Lewis Hall? Why is he not coming on? Because after that first Trippier error, I think Lewis Hall has got to come on. Lewis Hall I would take Trippier off. He's clearly absolutely knackered. He was training by himself the other day on his own for Newcastle, not even in the group, to manage his workload, to manage his body, because he is 33. Can a 33-year-old at fullback really play 4 games in 10 days, 2 weeks, the full 90 minutes against high-level opposition in PSG and Man United and that? I don't think they can, really. But obviously we haven't got a choice because everyone's knackered, apart from Lewis Hall. He's the other Livermento that we spent money on, isn't he? He's the other young, expensive English fullback. So for me, when Trippier gives that ball away for the first goal, I've got to be looking at him thinking, right, he's knackered. He's gave that ball away. He's had an absolute howler. But we'll let him off because we think it's probably fatigue. It's a lack of concentration. His body's tired. He's mentally drained. He's gave the ball away. Right, bring him off. Put Tino right back. Bring Lewis Hall on. Put him left back. But we didn't do that. And that's what I think. What is Lewis Hall not fit? Is he just on the bench to make up the numbers or what? Because Matt Ritchie and Emil Kraft are the subs that we end up making. And that's with about 2 minutes to go. So why is Hall not coming on is the concern for me. And we'll talk about the goals quickly before I get into your comments in the chat. And it is obviously Trippier that gives the ball away for the first goal. It's an absolute howler. McNeil pounces onto it, and it's a good strike from him, good finish. And then it's Trippier again for the second goal. He gives the ball away 2 times in the same motion of play. He gives it away, gets away with it, gets the rebound, gives it away again. He's absolutely knackered. He's done for. His head's gone. He's out of the game. Gives the ball away again. Everton make it 2. And then just to compound our misery, in extra time, added on, 10 minutes added on after in the stoppage time, they'll go and get the third there. Beto off the bench. And it's a long old VAR check. He is onside, is what they said. And he gets the third, and we just fall to pieces after that. As soon as that first goes in, I think everybody's mentality of trying to carry on, fight through the tiredness just goes, and everyone's just like, oh, right, we're not going to, we're losing now. I can't rest, but I can kind of like calm down a bit, and everyone just shuts off. We're shutting off now, and that's it. Before you know it's 2, before you know it's 3, and before you know it, thankfully it's pretty full time because there was only one thing that would have carried on happening, and we kept playing that game. We were so tired on that last 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and obviously we haven't got the luxury of making any subs. I'll run through a few notes that I made on the game before we get into your comments. Defended well, opening 10 minutes. I thought Everton were doing exactly what you thought they would do at home. You know, put us under the cosh a little bit of pressure, getting in our faces. But then we, out of nowhere, start having a bit of possession, and Almiron in 16 minutes scuffs it into the ground. Should have scored. Miggy Almiron. Newcastle were poor tonight, but in some moments the build-up play was very good, but it was always the final product where we didn't shoot, or we took too long, or we scuffed with chances. Almiron really scuffs a chance in the 16th minute. The pressing tonight was evidently not as high or as good or as paceful or as strong as it normally is due to the tiredness. You know, I thought tonight we could see we weren't our usual selves in terms of that press that we've got, and that we're really shoving the opponent's face. We couldn't do that tonight. And then Isak should score as well. Alexander Isak has a free header after some brilliant build-up play down the right-hand side. Julian and Trippier mainly trips, crosses it in. Isak, free header. He tries to really put a direction on it instead of power, and he heads it wide. That's poor. I think he should score there. So there we're looking. We should be 1-0 up. We should be 1-0 up, really. But then it's Everton's turn for chances. And Everton do have a lot of chances in that first half, but clear-cut ones where Dubravka gets worked, there isn't that many of them. But Calvert-Lewin misses an absolute sitter. He puts it over the bar from a few yards out. I thought he was offside at first. He wasn't. He puts it over the bar, and you've got to say he should have scored there. So maybe on the break, it should have probably been 1-1. I thought Newcastle were getting into some good areas when we did get the ball on the break, but weren't capitalising on it. Weren't utilising the final third very well. And the second half is all about Anthony Gordon. And I thought, you know, it was bound to be the Gordon show tonight. I thought Anthony Gordon was going to turn up. He's been on red-hot form for us. I think he dropped his arse tonight. I was disappointed in Gordon. I thought he bottled it tonight. I thought the crowd got to him. He kind of tried to laugh it off a little bit. He was being a bit too pally-pally with some of his teammates, like Idrissa Gueye and Pickford and that. I didn't like that. I thought his head wasn't right tonight, Anthony Gordon. He wasn't producing what we know he's capable of, especially, like I say, in his recent streak of form. He was off it tonight. He had 2 big chances in that second half. He blazes one over the bar, and the big one on the just after the hour mark is where he hits it straight at Pickford. Straight at Pickford, passes it to him. It's a terrible shot that Gordon has got to do better. Got to test dinosaur arms more there. But we didn't do that all night, really. We got into good areas, but we didn't take those chances. And I think that moment there on the hour mark, if we go 1-0 up, obviously it can be a totally different game. We might tire, Everton may come back and get an equaliser, but we obviously don't go and lose this game 3-0. But Gordon there should have done better these chances, but should have done better all night. I thought Almiron misses a big header after McNeil puts Everton in the lead. Obviously, we've talked about Trippier's howler, gives the ball away. Shocking that, like, absolutely shocking. And we don't want to go in on Trips too much. Obviously, he's been fantastic for us, but I think you can tell that his 33-year-old body is fatiguing massively with all these games in quick succession, like everybody's is, to be fair. Even 17-year-old Miley comes off, you know. But after Trippier's howler, Almiron has a chance to equalise very quickly, and he heads over from close range. That one's a bit more difficult because it's coming out and quick. Pickford's diving out. There's defenders. It's a bit of a rush ball in the box, but you've got to do better. It's got to at least go on target. It's a big chance. And then again, Trippier's mistake, 2-0. Tired legs, totally gone. Head's gone. Legs have gone. We're dead on our feet. It's another Trippier mistake. I say give the ball away twice in quick succession there. 2-0, 3-0, and it's Fabian Shaw this time. He was absolutely shattered. Fabian shattered. He's done. Absolutely knackered on his feet there, Fabian. Caught out by Beto, who's obviously fresh off the bench. Must be nice that having players to bring off the bench. And Beto goes one-on-one. I think Dubravka should do better as well. I mean, I wasn't too convinced with his performance tonight. I thought he was a bit sloppy at times, especially from corners and things like that. He didn't cover himself in loads of glory, put it that way. But it's 3-0. The lads are absolutely shattered, and you can't really blame them. It's 4 games in less than 2 weeks, whatever it is, where all of them have played 90 minutes, and they've all been giving it their all. And I thought tonight we would just get over the line, and then Sunday would be the game that's gone too far. But I worry for Spurs now on Sunday. Like, I know they're playing now. Let's check the score actually to see what Spurs' score is. They're going to be 2-1 at West Ham. Wow. Spurs have always got a bad record against West Ham, though, at their new stadium. But Spurs are getting beat 2-1 against West Ham. But I'll tell you what, Newcastle, with a couple of days' time, go there. But it will be Newcastle to go there and get a result, though, after losing against Everton, but beating Arsenal and that. It's one of those things. But tonight was pretty poor for the most part. Like I said, we could have took the chances, could have got with a different position. But then tired legs, lack of concentration, Trippier howler, and we'll lose the game. It's one of them ones. It's a tough one to take because it never like losing against Pickford and Everton and all the injuries and that. But I tell you what, it just highlights again Newcastle's issue this season, which is our away form. One of the worst away records in the Premier League. One of the best at home, but we are one of the worst away. We've only won 1 game away this season, and that was our biggest away win ever. Sheffield United, 8-0. That's the only game we've won away in the Premier League this season. Whereas at home, obviously St. James's Park is a fortress. So the table's completely different if you're going off home and away records. But it's one of them ones. I tell you what, let us see what you are saying in the chat, because I've been going on 30 minutes. 400 people tuned in. Please do subscribe to the Magpie Channel TV if you haven't already, as I bring this cursor right the way back to the top of the chat, and I'll pick out some of your best ones from tonight's games. There's loads of them, so appreciate everyone who's locked in and who's getting involved. This is what we want to hear what you have got to say. That's the point of doing it live. Get a feeler for Toon fans as well. And while I look through the comments, I'm going to have a well-earned sip of my beer. Shout out Anarchy Brew. War beer. Lovely stuff. Right, I've got some highlighted here, actually. So let's have a look what we've got. Miley had a good chance. At least he took the shot on. If that's what you're on about when I went over the bar, at least he had the balls to take the shot on, because too many times in those areas, I think we don't take the shot on. Eddie needs to make subs, even if they are youngsters. Love Eddie, but squad are tired, says Henning Klepper. I agree with that. I said, listen, why is Lewis Hall not coming on? And even Kraft on earlier. Bring Kraft on earlier. And then why not just bring on a... Yeah, I mean, Isak's had a pretty poor game for me. I think he should have took one of his chances a bit better. Even if he doesn't score, at least test Pickford. Almiron, I thought, struggled at times throughout. Obviously, his press is normally 100%. That's the first time in my life I've seen Miggy Almiron actually look tired, looking like the batteries are running low on that Duracell bunny. First time ever. So, especially when you're 2-0 down with 10 minutes to go. Why not? Philip says fatigue, tiredness kicking in, sadly. But still no excuse for Trippier. Awful errors. No excuses. We lost because of Trippier. Let's stop overprotecting him, says Madrid. Fair enough. I'd get hammered if I said that. People would be on my back, mate. But, I do obviously stick up for Trippier, how good he is, and him saving us a lot of times. But let's call it how it is. Those were 2 stinking errors. And I think after the first error, he should have been brought off. I have no sympathy for potential exhaustion when you're paid the amount these guys are played, says Taylor Hughes Toxic. Eddie Howe moving like Southgate. Trippier can shoot someone on the pitch and still get picked. Aaron says worst performance of the season. I'd probably say Brighton away was still worse than that, to be honest with you. But worse result than Brighton because it's bloody Everton. Let's fly through some more. John in there, really. Head up to Trips, done enough for us. Don't know why people called it a banker. I would never, ever call Everton away a banker, especially the form that they're in and the amount of minutes we've played with the injuries. Ian says, get the gear in now. Dubravka looks miles off it. Still squad of Ruffy and Brucey players. Well, Ruffy and Brucey, Rafa and Brucey. I think I'm mentally tired. Watching that, I am. Bloody hell. So I hear what you're saying. Look, tonight, Lascelles, Shaw, Dubravka. Who else was there that was still in that Brucey era? And you've obviously got Richie Kraft and that coming off the bench. And like I just mentioned it earlier, Dubravka, I don't think he did me much confidence tonight, to be honest, or him much favours. Let's see how he does at Spurs, and we may have to get in quick before someone else does for David here. Lack of options, obviously, but I know what you're saying, even with how poor we're playing, how terrible we are, maybe you should bring more people off the bench. Ruined the weekend already, says Sicky. Need chance of top 4. This is the thing tonight, man. Tonight, if you get if we win, we're 1 point off the top 4. So that was the bummer for me, really, the absolute bummer. Like I said before, want to win away all season. It really isn't good enough. Like considering we're in December now, I thought tonight was the best chance of that changing. Really. Well, we're crying out for Wilson. We're crying out for options. Listen, we're crying out for. Imagine if we could have brought on a Harvey Barnes tonight or a Joe Willock. Then it's game changing, that sort of stuff. It really is. Imagine 60 minutes on the clock and you can bring on a Barnes or a Willock or Tonali. But let's not get into that. Do you know what I mean? And like you said, obviously Callum Wilson as well, because you need to rotate them strikers. Like worst game I've ever seen. Loads of comments for me to dive through. Worst game I've ever seen Trippier play. When are we going to get some players back? Says 93 RP. Well, hopefully in the next week, you hope that one of those players that I mentioned before, you know, your Longstaffs, your Barnes, or on the verge of coming back, your Botmans. But you hear different things every day now, don't you? That's a good one from Tony, even though I don't want to admit it. Makes us cry, not laugh, but there it is. He was Kieran Slippier tonight. Wingers plus so many chances today. This is Rohan. Another one saying worst performance of the season. Would rather get tortured than watch that again. Bournemouth Part 2. Yeah, there's another good contender for worst game of the season, to be honest. But tonight in that Bournemouth, I thought we were really crap. We didn't show a single thing. But tonight, there was glimpses where Armour has that chance in the opening 15. Gordon has chances after half-time. Isak has that header before half-time. You know, there's moments. There is moments, but like as I said, you can literally be plain and simple. You can be straight to the point and blunt that it's exhaustion. Absolute exhaustion. We're simply exhausted. Absolutely shattered. Plenty of this. I tell you what, this is the worst thing about playing Everton. I kind of stand looking at that Mackham celebrating. I tell you I wasn't going to run, but if you bring up Pickford, you know, you can really get me going, like, because he's there. That bit as well when he catches the ball and he takes the ball out and then he drops to the ground again. Just what a bell end, like Steven's saying there. You know what I mean? Honestly, man, the bloke needs to grow up. He's not right in the head, him, like. He is balls deep on the spectrum. Like, there's something really wrong with Jordan Pickford. Really, really wrong. And I don't mean an illness. I mean, like, just needs to be locked up. He needs to be locked up. White jacket job. Do you know what I mean? He's not all there. Absolute Mackham sausage. Him keeping a clean sheet tonight's the worst part about it. Absolute worst part about it. I mentioned this earlier, and I'd like to hear what you think about it. Do you think Gordon looks scared, or Yeah, honestly, I thought he was rattled. I thought he was rattled by that Goodison Park fan atmosphere. I don't know what I'm saying now. I was going to say a fan zone. It pretty much was a fan zone for them, and they were shouting at him, Gordon, what's the score? Gordon, what's the score? And yeah, they were having his life really, and I don't think he handled it well at all. Go back to the start of the video when I talked about Gordon really, but I think he really hid away tonight, to be honest with you. Especially with the run of form that he's in, you think you'd take one of those chances. Like they're saying there, Gordon's 2 chances. First one, put it any of the corners and he scores. He hits it straight at Pickford. That's the worst one, that first one, like worst one. Bonjour from Japan, Michael. Small bump in the road. Perspective is important, yeah. Well, of course we have. Of course we have. People are talking about substitutions again. Paul saying we need at least 3 signs in January. Nothing up top tonight. Gordon was soft on his old team, says Nina. Poor decision making time after again. I think Eddie does have to take some of the blame today. Like, I know he hasn't got options at all on the bench, but especially, like I've said it, Lewis Hall. Is he not fit or what? But I think Trippier should have came off after that first mistake. More people talking about Eddie's substitutions. How doesn't know how to make substitutions. Steve here saying Bruno is not good enough. We need a player who can really boss midfield. Why not make a sub? Naive from how? More people asking about why isn't he playing Hall? Loads of comments about just Trippier Howler and Eddie not making subs. Dross finishing. They took their chances in the end. That's a good comment to have a drink on that. By Freddie Woodman. Dubravka, he didn't look good tonight, did he? Didn't look good tonight, like. But then again, is he rusty? Germany hasn't played competitive football for. Well, he played at Man U away, did he not? He played at Man U away. He's acted F4. Miggy was shite. Gordon was okay. Nothing threatening in reality, says Andrew. What's going on with Isaac, says Greg. Not clinic at all. Put Livermento right back and Hall left back, says Sicky. Definitely need to see sign players in January, says Philip. Oh, I definitely. Even if we get these players back that we hope we are going to get back in the next couple of weeks before January comes around, we still need to sign players. Absolutely. Absolutely still need to sign players. I'd sign a goalkeeper now, like with if we can bring one forward and get someone in, I'd really look at it, because especially if Dubravka, because a couple of times tonight he looked like he was in pain. He was holding his back a lot, and when he went into the post, and so if he got an injury and you're talking about Karius, and you hope that we'll get through into Europe, even if it is Europa League, you're talking about Karius playing twice a week and that, and playing different competitions. If Dubravka get injured, maybe we do need that keeper now. We definitely more than anything need a striker, because the Wilson Isaac injury, always one of them is injured. Cannot rely on them to be fit or to play all the time themselves. And then obviously midfield as well. Even though Louis Mailly's obviously been a revelation, has been quality. I thought even tonight he took the ball well in some pressured situations. First half he was really composed and good on the ball. But I still think we need something, even if it is Calvin Phillips on loan, something like that. It's better than now, in my opinion, just because of all the games we've got as well, and how likely we are to get more injuries, because they're not stopping on it. Gordon still thinks he plays for Everton, says Kenzie. Easy on Gordon. Let's not be fickle. He's been brilliant, says Paul. More people are saying we need bodies in January. Or more people are saying, bring Lewis Hall in, give Trippier a rest. Trippier was the one that played better one side, makes sense. So, as in Ayama, Great name, fantasy football team name back in the day. Trips at fault for all three. Worried about Dubravka, says people. We'll be in big trouble on Sunday. Dubravka needs to actually command his box, says Matt. Get in West Ham. West Ham, biggest club in London, to be fair. Spurs bottle chops again. Let's not speak too soon, Philip, before we play them. Ferdinand reckons it's overconfidence that's got us tonight. Sean says mental fatigue. Question here from Review Everything. Get your questions in as we've been going nearly half an hour, but still 387 people tuned in. So shout out everyone that is locked in and keep your comments coming. We'll have a bit more crack, 5 minutes or so, and then we'll sign off. Matty, would you rest a load of players at Spurs to give us a chance versus Milan? It's a good question. And part of us wants to say yes, because I'd rather beat Milan than beat Spurs and go through. Even though, I've always said all along I don't mind dropping down in the Europa League, because I think we'd actually go far in that competition, whereas Champions League, we'll probably get Real Madrid in the next round and then get beat overall on 2 legs. But who can we rest? I mean, maybe you do rest Trippier then. Bring Lewis Hall in if he is fit, if he is ready. After that, you can't really make any more changes, can you? Look at the bench, man. Look at the state of the bench. All the youngins and everything. Like, who are you going to realistically play? Unless you give Almiron a rest and played Richie or something. Like, you can't do much, can you? You can't do much. Lascelles, Dubravka, Shaw need upgrading, says Ian. I think Lascelles and Shaw have been absolutely class lately, like, to be fair. But they both look knackered. 1 game too many, mate. Just our key player back soon, says Ben. Yeah, I didn't like this either, Wayne, to be honest, where you see Trippier talking to Pickford, asking if he's all right and that when he's down on the floor, and then he's that mistake after that. Do you know what I mean? I just think you're in the game. I'm not asking how you're doing and all that. Like, I'm not asking my England teammate, my England pal, oh, you're right there, mate. Couldn't give a shit if he's all right or not. He's playing against us. Head in the game. Do you know what I mean? Karius over Dubravka all day long for me, says Ofa. Anyone else think Karius should get a chance, eh? Definitely recall Minter. Definitely. I would do that tonight. I would do that right now. Get on the phone to Feyenoord. Get on the Feyenoord phone and get Minter back for Sunday. That's what I would do. If we can get him back, why haven't we done it already? He is on fire over there in the Eredivisie. He looks good in Europe as well. Champions League. Bring him back. We need Yankuba Minter now. Great shout, James. Bring him back. Bring him home. He's ready for it. Ancient Ancelotti, your boys took one of a hand like they've beaten. You see what I mean? This is the thing I can't be arsed with. Everton fans in the chat, you know what I mean? Baffling how Lewis Hall isn't getting appearances. It is like he's the thing with Lewis Hall is he's been hit and miss, honey. Like, obviously against Man City, his first start, he looked crap. He was totally off it. And then against Man United, he was unreal. Obviously, he scored. He just needs game times, I think he just needs game times. Good evening, Kevin from Florida. Our players look frustrated. Winning is not the answer. Can't compete with the injuries. You can read the name there. Great picture as well. Can't perform the same 11 week. Where can you? This is what I mean, man. We've done well this long, to be fair. So West Ham did stun Spurs with second half comeback to win 2-1 in the end there. Kenzie says this channel is like therapy where everyone feels like crap. Well, I'm glad we're all in it together. Bit of therapy together, eh, people? Bit of tune therapy. Tune therapy. Ruby's not happy with Dan Ashraf there. Lodi is now calling to recall Yankuba Minter. Oh, Inter's worried about the derby. I don't like the sound of that. Obviously, by then, we'll have players back. And to be fair, by then, we'll be nearly 1 week into the January window. So I hope Ashworth can prove people wrong and that we're happy with them and get some signings through the door immediately in January. As soon as that window opens, I want to see people through the door from the very off. You know what I mean? Because it's January 6th. The game against Sunderland has been confirmed today. I'm sure you have all seen it. But for you that haven't, maybe likes of Kevin there, who's in Florida, maybe just woke up, whatever the time zone is. The game against the Mackhams is the 6th of January, the Saturday, 12:45 kickoff, was it? 12:30, and it's on ITV1. So it's the lunchtime kickoff on the Saturday. But Inter will have players back by then. Wilson, Longstaff, maybe even Botman, Barnes should be back by we'll play Sunderland. So hopefully not. But I say they'll be back. No doubt the players that are playing every second now, they'll probably catch up with them and they'll be wiped out in time. So we'll get Barnes back, Gordon will get injured. You know what I mean? We'll get Longstaff back and fucking Bruno will get injured. Do you know what I mean? Like, just have a look. Just the way this season's going. Els Bells thinks Ramsdale's a better option for January. Got to be realistic with 12 injuries. So many comments. Big up everyone who's commented. I'm just flying through them now because we've been doing this for over half an hour. Zombie says this is why you can't have a right wing who can only use his left foot. Bottle that chance today. Gordon had a howler, so did the full team. I'm really disappointed in Gordon. Like I thought with the Rich Vena form that he's in, coming up against Everton at Goodison, it was a perfect chance for him to shine and him to write that script. Do you know what I mean? But it's more of a fucking nightmare than a movie script. Like it's an absolute disaster tonight. That. What a load of rubbish. Been embarrassed by Everton. January transfer window can't come soon enough. The crowd got to Gordon. I think, have I got up there? Have I? What time is it now? No, I haven't. I'm still far away. What are we on? No. Everton fans got in Gordon's head. Let me just fly back up there from the start because it took us down at the beginning. Even someone like Charles and Zogbia would be a good signing. Says Harold. Throwing it back there with Charles and Zogbia. The lads need to be smart and ruthless. Missed out big time on McTominay. This is the big question after tonight. When people have seen it, Dubravka's first chance to shine, he concedes 3 goals against the Scouse Mackhams. Not a good look. Not a good look. Away form is a worry. It is one of the worst away forms in the Premier League for Newcastle. Only 1 win away this season in the league, and that was obviously our biggest away win ever. The 8-0 against Sheffield United. People are calling for Paqueta in January. Wouldn't mind seeing that. Very much doubt we're going to be able to afford him, though. West Ham paid 52 million for him. They're going to want at least 70, 80 after him. And Man City are still chasing after him as well. Tripp should not have started this many games at his age, says Raheem. Would anyone here sell Wilson to Saudi if there was a 20 million on the table? I don't know, because I mean Wilson's got, look, he scored 7 goals this season. You just got to manage him. We just need another striker up there to compete with them. Obviously, now you've got Isaacs and that, but you need an out and out number 9 to compete with Wilson. I would keep Wilson. Like, you just got to manage his workload. He can't keep playing these many games. That's why he's got injured. I think we need 3 at least. I would say keeper, midfielder, and striker at least. And ideally, I'd want maybe another winger, maybe another centre back. But I think we'll only sign a couple, like with it being January. Then again, with the injuries, you never know. Shout out Jimmy for being a member. Can't play out on Sunday. We're in trouble. Surely give the young lads a try off the bench. I think Isaac really struggled all night, to be honest with you. I think Isaac did struggle. Like, Peter's asking, different question this. Never been asked this one before by Peter. If you had to choose prolapse rectum or drinks with Pickford, I guess my arse will say it then, because I'm never having a drink with that Mackin cunt. Never having a drink with him. So there you go, Peter. Interesting question. Never thought I'd get asked that before. Right then, people, I think that will do. What a bombshell to end it on, or a bumshell, shall we call it, to end it on there with Peter's question. We've been going on for nearly 40 minutes, nearly a full half of football, but there's been that many of you locked in. There's been that many questions. There's been that much to talk about, to be fair. And before you know it, it will be Sunday and it will be Spurs. So when Spurs comes around, we'll be doing a live match reaction once again on Sunday. So probably about 6:30, 7:15 or something on Sunday afternoon after the Spurs game. I'll be back before then, probably tomorrow, for a match preview. That one, maybe Saturday. I may have a little rest, need a little break to recover from that game. We'll see what Eddie Howe says in his press conference. But I tell you what, I'll be honest with you, even though Spurs got beat off West Ham tonight, it does worry us with these injuries and the way we looked absolutely knackered at the end of that game. How are we going to fare in 2 days' time? 2-3 days' time against Spurs? It's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. Cheers, everyone, for watching. Make sure you drop a like on this one. Subscribe to my channel TV. I'll see you in the next one.